بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
When we study the life of the Prophet ﷺ, we learn the teachings of the Anbiya ﷺ. Some of the atheists, and this is the funny thing, we freed ourselves of religion, yay! Nare takbir. Oh, but they're not going to say takbir. They don't say takbir. They don't say Allahu Akbar. They said Nafs Akbar. I am Akbar. What is atheism in actuality? It's the cult of the self, right? It's worship of the self. Because deen, religion, it's to believe in something which is greater than you. Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. There is no deity, there is nothing worthy of worship but Allah, our Creator. There's to devote yourself to something which is a higher purpose. And atheism is what? To devote yourself to your own purpose. The worship of the self. Me, myself, and I. These are the three idols. Lat, Manat, Uzza. Me, myself, and I. These are the three idols that are worshipped by atheists. What do they say? We freed ourselves. No more religion. You freed yourself, no more religion. But there are so many things from the teachings of the Anbiya alayhimus salam, from the teachings of the morality, the guidance, the purity, the guidance, the morality, the chastity, the piety, the righteousness. For what reason should you do for someone else? Religious people, they do it because they know Allah rewards them. Religious people, they do it because Allah rewards them. This is the prophetic teaching. Why should I do for you? I don't know you. You had a flat tire on the road. Why should I do for you? So a person who believes in God, he'll stop by the road and say, I don't know him, but it's my duty as a human being that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has entrusted me. You should help other human beings because this is a means that I will become happy with you. Whether that person says thank you or doesn't say thank you, that's besides the point. But why I'm going to help this person? Because this thing, I will be rewarded by God. Why should I not cheat on my wife? I like this person. I want to have relations with this person. Why shouldn't I cheat on my wife? Because Allah said so. Otherwise, why? What motivation do you have to guard yourself? Why for? Why should you help somebody? It doesn't make sense. Prove to me through an intelligent reason. What is the proper logical reason? There's no logical reason you should help anybody. There's no logic to it. What have you done for me that I should do for you? You haven't done anything for me, so I shouldn't do anything for you. Because what they're trying to do is Darwinism, survival of the fittest. The strongest one survives. And the strongest one is the one who thinks about itself. It doesn't think about any other creature. I think about my own self. I don't need to think about you. The way that I survive is I think about myself. Think about my own survival. I don't need to think about anybody else. That is opposite of the teachings of the Anbiya. Whether it's the Nabi Muhammad, or Isa, or Musa, or Dawood, or Ibrahim, or any of the messengers that came. All religious people are equal in this. How do you solve this? This is not logically, doesn't make sense to me. Prove from a logical perspective why you should do for somebody else. Oh, because of karma? What goes around comes around? There's no karma. It's just survival of the fittest. Do for yourself. Why should you do for somebody else? What does the world become when you just live on logic? You don't live on emotion. You don't live on feeling. You don't live on reward. You don't live on any hope for the akhirah. It's just, that's it. It's an animalistic. Animals, what they will do, they will eat their own children because I'm hungry. Doesn't have that sense of morality. It's logic. I'm hungry right now, so I'm going to eat my child. It just came out of my womb. What difference does it make? If it came out of me, I'm hungry and this is food, so I'm going to eat it. I'm just saying from a logical perspective, why cannot that's applied in every aspect of life. That is why when people talk about science, brothers and sisters, science is not a system of morality. Science is to make our lives easier. Don't put it inside of your morality. Some people say, oh, the Quran doesn't discuss, how to become the best doctor and engineer. Absolutely. The Quran is not a book of science. It's not a book of medicine. It's a book of morality. What does it teach us? The Quran. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. This is the teaching of the messengers. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا. And they feed the poor, and they feed the prisoner, and they feed the destitute. Why? Out of their love for Allah. They don't do it because they're going to get something in return. They don't do it because somebody owes them. They don't do it because they're going to get a tax return. They don't do it because logically it makes sense. There is no logic in that. There's only faith in that. My dear brothers and sisters, I'm trying to explain to you the importance of faith. Because atheists think they got this thing figured out. Now they're going with Sam Harris and all these other chummies with him. They're trying to do this. Let's develop a system of morality that goes in accordance with logic. They're having a hard time, but they're pushing themselves. What do we do with the dilemma of morality? What do we do with the matter and the dilemma of morality? How do you establish morality from a logical perspective? Doing for somebody for no reason. Because that's illogical to them. Everything has to be logical, right? This is illogical, that you should stop your car for somebody whose tire got flat that you don't even know. Why should I even do that? Good Samaritan, that's what the Christians call it, right? The Good Samaritan is a story in the Bible about a person who helped somebody else for no apparent reason. And he was rewarded by God, and so the story goes. But from a logical perspective, what benefit is there in that? From a logical, there's no logic in that. There is no mantiq in that. There is no understanding in that. How do you understand that? How do you comprehend that? Or I should give money to a complete stranger. Why should I give my money to a complete stranger? This is my hard-earned money. I'm not going to give my hard-earned money to somebody on the other side of the world who I don't even know who that person is. That person should work. Go get an education. Get a life. I don't need to spend my money on you. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there, man. I'm earning my hard-earned money. I don't need to give it to somebody who I don't even know. How is that logically wrong? It's not logically wrong. It's a matter of faith. No, I know I don't know that person. And that person might not even share the same faith that I share. But that person is a human being. And Allah said that the best of people is the one who treats others the way that he would want to be treated. And now, the only reason you're doing it is because you want Allah's pleasure. You know you're not going to get a check in the mail. You know you're not going to get a tax credit on that one. Even though nowadays, we make that announcement in the masjid. My dear brothers, this is a tax-exempt organization. And with your funding, you will get a tax exemption for whatever charity that you give. We're going to make that announcement as well. But that's besides the point. If the masajid say that, or if the organizations say that, that's a complete different issue. But in reality, for charity, the only reason somebody's doing it, like this ayat of the Quran, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ, and he gives food to the poor, and the destitute, and the prisoner. For the prisoner, the guy is in prison. Why are you giving the guy food? Why are you taking care of the guy? Because that might be a means of rehabilitation for him. He's doing it out of the love for Allah. Not because he knows that guy, or he's my cousin, or he's my whatever. Or he did something good for me, so I have to do for him. إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُهُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ. The only reason we are feeding that person is for the pleasure of Allah. لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا. We don't want from them any reward, and we don't want for them any thanks. With that being said, brothers and sisters, this is the teaching of the Anbiya. As Muslims and as people of faith, we're blessed. You're blessed to be a Muslim. You're blessed to have Islam. And we think that, I could just be, my dear brothers and sisters, here in this environment, our kids, if we don't connect them to the teachings of the Anbiya, to the teachings of the prophets, right? The society is automatically going to take them to that one direction, and that is the idol worship of me, myself, and I. I'm not saying this. This is a very interesting thing. It's an article. You should look it up by a famous New York Times Pulitzer Prize winning author. He writes about this. And he says, this culture and this religion of this place is what? They call it the cult of the self. Chris Hedges. Chris Hedges actually wrote about this, the cult of the self. This is what it's all about here in the West. That just fulfill your desires to the fullest extent. Because you have no reason. You have no reason to give. You have no reason to be nice. Another important thing, this is the teachings of the prophets. The Prophet ﷺ said, your mother and your father are your two gateways to paradise. Your mom and your dad, they are your two gateways to paradise. Did they teach that in school? Which science class did they teach that? Is that biology, chemistry, geography, history? Which subject is birrul walidain in high school? Anybody remember in high school? Studying birrul walidain, kindness to parents. Is that a section in any college class? Maybe humanities? It's Western humanity. Western humanity is a little bit different than Eastern humanities. Western humanities, it's a little bit more animalistic humanities. And Eastern humanities is a little bit different. Do you guys understand my point? This is not a subject in science. This is not a subject of biology. Birrul walidain. Birrul walidain is a subject of religion. Birrul walidain means kindness to parents. The Prophet ﷺ said, this is the prophetic teachings. This is why we study his life. This is why we should have our children study Islam. One very foolish guy, he said like this, بیادر جان ما اولاد خود اسلام یاد نمیتون بان که خودش باز کلان شد یاد میگیره. واه واه واه. ما گفتم بسیار فیلسوف آدم هستی والا. You're a very smart guy. He said, I'm not going to teach my children religion. I'm going to let them figure it out when they grow up. I said, figure it out when they grow up. I said, you leave your kids out here in this society, they're going to figure out a lot of things. The last thing they're going to figure out is Islam. And you're going to regret it. Do you know why? Because Islam has a lot of benefits. Because, we talk about the bummers. Oh, man, I can't party. I can't party no more, dude. I can't drink like I used to drink. I can't party. I can't go out with the girls. Islam is a bummer. I can't just, show my body anymore like how I used to. These are the harms that you might see. Or these are the liabilities or the deficiencies. But these are deficiencies. Even when you stay away from alcohol, every moral person that has any aql, who's not even Muslim, realizes that alcohol is something that they're saying now on the alcoholic beverages, they should put a warning sign, just like they have on the cigarette boxes. They're going to do that by California law soon. That on the alcohol labels, they're going to start putting that in the state of California, it is Surgeon General warning. The Surgeon General warning is that abundant consumption of alcohol has been linked to cancer and heart disease. They're going to put that on the box. And this is not religion. This has nothing to do. So even if you don't follow the religion, the deen that tells you all these things that tell you, why should I be faithful to my wife? Now we have so much in the Muslim community. Adultery. There's actual apps, Minder and Tinder and all these other different types of things. Why should you stay away from it? I like this, and whatever I like, I take. Right? The caveman mentality. That's not a religious mentality. That's the caveman mentality. What happens? Do you know what I heard? These are things that come to me. These are stories that come to me. A wife who is chaste, she says, I don't know how it happened. I got diagnosed with this disease, and I haven't had a relationship with anybody before this. How did this happen to me? Finding out husband was having a relationship with somebody else. This is in the Muslim community. Is it right to live this life? Is there benefit in following the teachings of the Prophet? Trying to imitate your life after his chastity, after his piety. But she awaz ma bugoyam. But she ash giryan kunam. With what tears should I cry? And with what voice should I scream to tell my brothers and sisters, don't fall into this foolishness to say, I'm going to let my children figure it out on their own. You're leaving them. It's like saying, I want to let my son just cross the street on his own, I'm not going to tell him to look this way and look that way. Let him figure it out on his own. When he gets run over by a car, then he can look to the right and look to the left. He'll know to look to the right and look to the left when a car hits him. That's not the right logic. That doesn't make sense. If you see the hand of your child going through the electricity, what will you do? First of all, you put a guard there. We put those little guards for the little kids so they don't stick their finger inside, isn't it? We do or we don't? We put the little guard so the kid doesn't stick his finger inside. We put that, don't we? We put it. We don't put it. Why don't you follow the same logic there? In religion, we don't understand. My dear brothers and sisters, guard Allah, Allah will guard you. This is what we don't understand. Those people who guard Islam, Islam guards them. Those people who guard their Islam, Islam guards them. You get guarded by this deen. You get guarded by this religion. You get guarded by this path. Don't think this is only, brother, I just enjoy myself, you know. Cash is better than credit. Just enjoy yourself in this life. Why? Cash is better than credit. When the day of judgment comes, then we'll talk. When the day of judgment comes, we'll talk. In this life, Allah will bless you. In this life, by not practicing the teachings of the Anbiya, by not practicing their way, dami dunya da balasti. This entire world becomes a hellfire. Before hellfire. Before that hellfire, your life here becomes hellfire. When you don't practice the teachings of the Anbiya alayhimus salam. Somebody says, where do I start? Start at the basics. Start with your 5 daily prayers. Start with living a moral life. Start with living a simple life. Start with just this, your 5 daily prayers. Simple place to start with. Eating halal. Staying away from immorality. Just all those immoral things. Indecency, immorality. That's where you start. Your 5 daily prayers. Start with changing your environment and sitting in the company of good people. Not going to those places where there's negative activities taking place, indecent activities taking place, immodest activities taking place. Start there. Go to your Jummah, pray your 5 daily prayers. This is where you start. Everything else will come after that.